All right, folks, our break is complete. We've got Dustin, who is looking to be in good spirits as he faces off against the undefeated Nigel Richards. We are ready to rock here. Nigel going first in this game. And as I have been for the previous three games, I, Will Anderson, of course, joined by Matt Canik in the booth. Matt, we are spoiled today, getting even more Nigel action in the final game.
Yeah, I am so stoked. Nigel, a player who needs absolutely no introduction. And if you don't know Nigel yet, just dig around, find his historic results. He is indisputably the GOAT of Scrabble.
Yeah, no question. And even the GOAT is going to have to deal with racks like this on a regular basis playing Scrabble. There is not even a 5-letter word available for him from this rack. Feels like the play of Gru here seems about as good as anything. Only other option, maybe Drek. I think we're going to see Gru come down in short order, or maybe exchange GRKW, Matt. That might be very reasonable here, in fact.
Yeah. About a 1.5 according to a simulation. It feels rather counterintuitive, though, to leave the points on the table and score 0 when you've got Gru or Drek available.
Yeah, true. I feel like it's close. He, again, as we mentioned before, sometimes he foreshadows his thinking here by placing all of those letters together. And there we go. He exchanges. This might be the first play he's made that's been kind of close together, where the engine actually prefers something a little bit different than what he did. I think the engine wants him to play Gru. And oddly, that would have worked out quite to his benefit here, as Dustin, if he sees it, is going to be able to play Zloty here. Not sure if he sees it yet. Maybe Zit.
Plots. 52 PLOTZ is even stronger.
Even better, yeah. So he's got 2 words to find here. Let's see what he elects to do. Plots and Zloty, the weird plural. He's going for that P. There we go. Very nice. Nicely spotted. Dustin starting off with definitely his optimal play here. That's what you love to see for the number 38 seed in the field going up against the legendary Nigel. He makes a great start to the game.
Man, already turned this one on its head. You got to think, man, I'm playing the best player who's ever lived, and I have to go second. But Nigel forced to exchange, and then you get 52. All right, advantage Dustin early on.
Yeah, not even a great play on offer for Nigel. With that J, you would think surely there's something good with it, but actually he might be getting set to just play Dojo on either side of plots. He'll probably place it on, I'm not sure which side is better. He has the H, which he's hoping to follow up with on either side. I guess if you play it here, maybe the overlapping potential for Dustin could be even more dangerous. But look at this, a nice draw for Dustin as well. He's got a chance to really leap out to a lead here, Matt.
Yeah, one playable bingo on this turn for Dustin is going to put him ahead big early on. Nigel's placement of Dojo, had it been on the other side, would have made this a complicated turn for Dustin. But now, there he is. He's found Egalite, and he will play this for 66 with OPE, 118 to 24.
Yeah, no hesitation, no sign of any nerves or anything from Dustin here, and he is in great position here for the first time in a little while. We're potentially going to see Nigel try to claw his way back from a deficit, which, of course, he is more than capable of doing. We've seen it countless times, but we've seen him play from an even game position or from the lead a lot in his games so far on the stream. So let's see if Dustin can get off of this rack here. He needs to trust his gut. He sees the 7. It's a place to play it right here with Ope. He's probably just looking very briefly at all the other letters on the board to see, could I be missing something better? But the sooner the better. Even though his time is still good, Matt, you have to know that Nigel will always put time pressure on you over the course of the game. So if you have an easy decision, try to make it ASAP.
Yeah, we've seen Nigel just playing so fast and so precisely. We've seen multiple opponents fall into some time trouble against him. And you can't know the book on every opponent, but you probably do know the book on Nigel Richards. He's going to play fast, and he's going to play well. I guess he's just caught up on possible double doubles. And, when I'm on stream, I start second and third guessing every single thing that I do because I'd hate to make that mistake in front of everybody. But these are pretty high prop racks. And, you can't spend too much time looking for eights with a D or a T here.
Yeah, I do expect to see this come down. Looks like here it goes. So this is going to be good too. As you can see, Nigel with Herder set up on the rack thinking, I hope I get to play it here, but this play is going to block that and make Nigel's decision much more difficult with his triplicated E's and duplicated R's. It seems difficult to imagine Nigel getting into his next turn without some kind of duplicate on his rack. So if Dustin draws something good, you could easily imagine, what if he draws a blank here? What if he draws ING for plotzing? All kinds of good stuff could come out of the bag for him. On the other hand, if he draws something weak, that could be challenging. And a nice play here by Nigel of just Matt. This is really nice, setting up his R's in an interesting way.
Oh, yeah. The score is more than anything else he can do and sets up the RHO front hook. This is exactly what Nigel needs to do, and now he just needs a good draw. BF is not what he was looking for. And Dustin, GIMNOOS, has drawn plotzing exactly as he queued it up.
The aforementioned ING. Dustin just has to make sure he does not overlook that possibility. I feel like we kind of know that plots is a semi-regular word as a verb. I don't know. Maybe that's a stretch to call it a normal word, but I really think he's very likely to know that it is a verb, and he just needs to think and open his mind to that extension possibility. First, he's going to look for bingos. Maybe he's going to be thinking about mootings or something like that. Is he going to feel the need to take the risk? No, he does not, Matt. Great job by Dustin here.
Yeah, he set up moosing for 108 would play as a double-double, but that just seems a little too ridiculous. He does find his correct play. He dodges the trap. Dustin has scored 52, 66, and 60 in his first three moves against Nigel Richards.
Yeah, this could be an amazing game in the offing here. And look at that. Does he now have autosome to the E of egalite? Oh my gosh. If he sees it, he could really be off to the races in this game. He's got to see that. I would say that is a higher degree of difficulty find, as Nigel about to play fibered for 40, getting both the F and B on those good bonus squares. I think that has to be his best play. No surprise for him. Now, Matt, it's up to Dustin. Is he going to see this much trickier find? That would be a huge difference maker. There are now 2 spots for it as well.
Yeah, those 5-valved 8s are so important to know when they are available. So often they're way, way better than your next best play, because otherwise you've got a bunch of vowels and can't do all that much. So Dustin with a little bit of a word knowledge check here, but the way he's played, the results he's had, I do expect him to find it. The more time we see him spend, though, the less likely it is that he's going to notice it.
Yeah, the trick here, too, is that if you don't see it, your next best plays are going to be a fair bit weaker. I guess it's fair to say that something like moo right here would be okay. It looks like, whoa, what's he getting set to play? I wonder. I don't know what Moto's set up that way is indicating. Hopefully he doesn't think that is a word. Oh, I feel like it's coming here. I'm seeing the A. Oh, Sorry, everybody. I really thought the AU combo was coming together there.
Mac Meller pointing out he doubled with Autosome on Dustin for 100 points. So Dustin has definitely seen this word before in an emphatic and
Wow.
memorable way.
That is tough intel to beat. Thank you very much for that intel, Mac. Well, okay, Dustin with Moo set up. This would be the consolation prize if he does not spot his bingo. I think it's worth noting there is some defensive merit to blocking this scary double-double line. But if you see AutoZone, there's no question that it is the best play. So this could be a missed opportunity. But meanwhile, Matt, look at Nigel's tiles. Yikes.
That's a bad rack, but he's got Zanana from the Z for like 40 right now. So he's actually fine.
That is insane. Insane. So all the more reason that Autosome becomes critical to find here. In fact, if you see how it would play at the top of the board, yeah, it scores 74 points up here and 72 here. But the triple word score counterplay up on this topmost positioning makes this spot definitely the place to play Autosome, and it would inadvertently block. Oh, there it is.
Oh, and he's playing it here too. Wow.
In the nick of time. Oh, is he having a moment of doubt? He sees it. Oh, this is huge.
Surely he's thinking about placement, which E, and not validity.
Yeah, it is 100% correct to play it here. You just give back so much on top with a variety of overlapping plays. Not only is this the right play for defensive reasons, it also happens in this particular case to block the huge Zanana, which would have been actually pretty epic to see go down, I have to say. But yeah, great find by Dustin. He continues his sterling play here. And Nigel looking, Matt, absolutely devastated. Look at that look on his face.
Sad Nigel noises.
Just kidding. You can't tell a thing. He could not betray less emotion. But yeah, so what's he going to do now?
He's destroyed. Like, there's nothing good after that play. I don't even know that was the right placement of Autosome. I know you like it for the defense, but I actually think I would have taken the 2 extra points and played on top there.
Huh, really? Well, how does it look, I guess, when we look at it on the board? I guess it doesn't actually slot vowels in the scary spot. I just feel like this M, right? Like the vowel consonant situation makes it so that 4-letter words in this spot are just going to hit so hard. But maybe maybe they don't hit that much weaker here. Maybe Autosome blocks plays alongside Egalite that are similarly damaging. If Nigel has an A, just like this, maybe you block almost as much as you give back. You could be right, Matt. I might have rushed to judgment there as Nigel plays non for 23. And Dustin with his first, I'm not sure. It seems like a pretty tricky rack here unless he has some kind of get out of jail free play that I am not seeing.
If he knows the 6-letter unknit, UNKNIT, that's the very straightforward way out. It plays with 4 overlaps to the left side of Autosome. I'll confess I didn't know unknit, and I'd be very scared to pull the trigger on a word I'm unsure of in this game state. But we'll see. Dustin with a word knowledge check here.
Yeah, that is a tough one. Not only is it a tricky word to generate as an option, but also with all those overlaps, it feels like that is a pretty high degree of difficulty play. Seems like a lot of the top plays that the engine wants are that word in some arrangement here. So yeah, I do feel like it is going to be a big difference between that and whatever the next best play may be. And there it finds its way onto Dustin's rack. Fantastic job by him so far in this game. He is seeing everything he needs to run out to this big lead.
Yeah, so far playing a perfect game against Nigel Richards. Man, Nice job, Dustin.
He's gotten away from it. This would be his tiki that he has lined up would be the consolation prize. Sorry for very poor drawing on my part, but playing tiki alongside Autosome actually scores quite well at the cost of leaving NNU, which is the main benefit of unknit, is not only does it score the same while keeping just an I instead of the much weaker NNU, but Tiki also opens a little bit back to Nigel in the form of a good sevens lane, maybe some good overlapping spots here, whereas unknit actually opens nothing at all. Very, very nice play on defense. Though I guess if I'm Dustin, I'm still more worried about this spot than anything else, Matt.
Yeah, that double-double is huge. And if you do play Tiki, now you've opened a ton of volatility. As you said, the bingo line open, it sets up 6 SIX. So the worst thing that could possibly happen if you're Dustin is you play Tiki, you get hit by the X for 50, and then Nigel bingo's next turn. When you're ahead this much, you're just looking to avoid nightmarish situations such as those. Tiki is not a play you want to make here, but if you don't spot on knit, there aren't really many other options for him.
Yeah, there is a factor that Dustin has spotted it, but I think maybe as we alluded to, and Matt, you were saying this word might escape your notice. I think there are plenty of people who might see this word and say, gosh, I don't remember for sure whether this is good. Unknit, unknit. What could that mean? To, take stitches out of something you're knitting? You could easily see that word, but have some serious doubts in, am I making this word up? Am I making this word up against the one player that I would give the most credit for in the world to know that this is or is not a valid word in the dictionary? That's definitely a factor.
I can't remember if it was Roy Hibbert or it was another one of the 7-foot NBA players who didn't look like he had great defensive metrics on paper, but ended up being a great defensive player anyway, simply because nobody even tried to shoot on him. And I wonder to what extent Nigel's success comes from players just being scared to try stuff against him. Against some players, sure, I'll drop on knit and try it and put the onus on you to try to challenge it. But against Nigel, I don't think I'm taking that shot. Just like against Roy Hibbert or some 7-foot center, you don't even try to drive down the paint and put the layup up because you know it's getting swatted off. Don't get me wrong, Nigel is an incredible player, but I wonder how much he scares players.
Somebody needs to get a hold of Roy Hibbert's agent right now and tell him the comparison that just took place, because that is probably the most favorable comparison that Roy Hibbert, who was a very solid player for the Pacers for quite a while, he's never getting a better comparison than that. So somebody get Roy Hibbert's agent on the phone, let him know that he just got a very kind comparison from the GOAT commentator of Scrabble, Matt Canik. So yes, I do agree. The fear factor is real. That is a big deal playing Nigel. And Dustin, I do worry a little bit. He is in commanding position in this game, but the clock is definitely ticking down on him. As we've seen, that's a running theme. Nigel totally unperturbed. We know he's going to play his moves with that customary speed. Dustin taking a long time on this move. And I think to your point, Matt, the X now looms quite large, and you could see a pathway now after this play. Nigel looks like he wants to play Briar right here. What if he draws the X? What if he draws a blank after the X? There is still ample possibility, although things are looking fantastic for Dustin right now as I update his score to 282 to 116.
And Briar's coming so fast from Nigel. I wonder, this is a turn I would certainly spend a lot of time thinking out, between multiple different options, Briar or ABRI in this spot, or Ariba, and now there's a bunch of space on the other side of the board. Did Nigel really just compute this one out that fast? Briar is dominating a simulation, though, so Nigel is just a freak, man. He's just a freak. That was a hard turn, and he took like 6 seconds.
Yeah, completely agreed. I definitely would be thinking a lot about the new options that just emerged on the board after Tiki. There's a lot to consider. Did Dustin have the X himself? Probably not, or else he would just have played Tix here. Almost certainly have to think about that for a second. You got to think about, do I want to play something like Abri or something here that is, a good scoring play, keeping my H. No need to worry about that. I'm going to go ahead and play Briar as I intended. And Dustin has an interesting situation here. Nigel with Towhead, the first blank on his rack. Looks like he's going to have a couple places to play. Or is it just here? I'm trying to see where else. HEA, no TID in this lexicon. It might just be parallel to Briar. Maybe he's got something else, Matt. But the situation for Dustin is, could he possibly play ECU here? There's just no way you would do this with the lead that Dustin has.
I don't know. I mean, there aren't other very strong plays here for him, but you would hate to just get bingoed on for 100 immediately next turn. You are setting up your own S, but with two others unseen. I don't know. I don't know Dustin's style well enough, but Iku is just such a strong equity play that I think it's actually okay.
The crazy thing is it comes so close to allowing Towhead to still fit with HE. Almost. It could have been that absolute hammer. Not sure what else Nigel has. You got to worry that with the HET combination or something like that, you could be getting into some serious trouble. But yeah, I just feel like it's really crazy to make an opening play like that, even though it just looks quite solid for so many reasons. The only reason you wouldn't do it is, again, the score and the game situation. So yeah, tough turn for Dustin. Look at the time discrepancy now, Matt. I am a little worried about that as well.
Yeah, Dustin just needs to do something. Iku clearly has some warts, but it is so strong, and you really just can't afford to get in a huge time trap in this game. He does have the nice unseen with 4 overlaps, making UTS, tie, oak, and sin. That's a strong play here as well, but that is a tough one to spot. Your brain's not looking to make a 6-letter word holding the C on this rack. That though, I think would actually be the strongest play for Dustin if he's able to think of it.
Yeah, this looks deceptively defensive. It is definitely possible that you might really regret this with certain overlaps, such as SHE or something of that nature. So maybe you don't want to do this because the worst case scenario is quite devastating, but it's also very improbable to have one of those types of plays. So yeah, let's see. Looks like Dustin is getting set to play Uncage. So this is certainly significantly safer than either of the options that we just spelled out. It only scores 12 points, but the downside risk after this is not quite as extreme. You're just giving up a lot of points to make a 12-point play, and I do worry that with a lot of points coming from Nigel here, what if Nigel draws something really good out of the bag? What if he draws the X? What if he draws the second blank? You could start to see things start to knot up in a hurry, Matt.
Yeah, that was just a time-induced error. He's got to do something, but Uncage is not a strong play. Nigel's going to drop Towhead very quickly, and Towhead does one more fantastic thing in that it opens up the third column for the opportunity for Nigel to bingo once again. That ETA front hook is huge now. If Nigel can draw a bingo ending in an E or ED or something in that vein. So Nigel's still alive and kicking, especially as Dustin's pulled into the WU combination. We'll see if he cashes the S now. Pones, PWNS is 45, or if he wants to hold on to it. Some players are drawn to plays like Whoop, WHUP for 24, holding ENRS. There are bingo lines open on the board, but I think scoring 45 here is pretty solid. Nope, we're going to see Whoop.
I agree with you, Matt. I think something pluralizing toe heads would have been just fine for Dustin. Just try to get to the end of the game, maintaining that bigger than a bingo advantage. Now we're going to see actually the X here. I guess it's worth noting that there was another good X spot here. So Nigel has options to either play his X here or here, depending on what he wants to do. You do get 4 more points playing it underneath Fibered. And all of a sudden, when he plays this for 55, look at how close he is on the scoreboard all of a sudden. How is that possible?
Well, it's because he's the greatest of all time.
True.
God. All of a sudden, we got a game yet again. I was wondering, like, how on earth is Nigel going to get back in this? But a combination of very efficient play and very strong play has forced a couple blunders now from Dustin on consecutive turns. And he is still very much alive in this game. He's drawn an S, which is going to be huge for him as well. Oh, boy. Do not ever count out Nigel Richards.
Unbelievable. It's insane to think that look at the score. And I think now the time on the clock, if I'm Dustin and I look over at the clock and see I have 5 minutes to Nigel's 18. To his credit, though, he plays Rye for 30. That is a great play by him. I would even consider tacking on the E and the R for some extra points, but no complaints here to make a very solid play under some time pressure. Just get it on the board and start thinking about your next move. I think it makes total sense. And Dustin definitely gonna pop his lead back up. Oh, and just in the nick of time, it looks like he's gonna draw tenders, Matt. That could be huge.
Tenders on the right side, Sterned on the left side. He's got bingos on either side of this board. I think he should play Tenders and UTS just to knock out the easier to hit line. But yeah, this is exactly what he needed just in the nick of time. If he had missed a bingo on this turn, I think we'd be looking at advantage Nigel.
Yeah, Sterned here, Tenders here. No need to delay. Looks like Dustin is seeing it. So you do get 7 extra points, which all of a sudden has become extremely, relevant. And he is going to play Tenders, which makes a lot of sense. As you say, that is a more flexible line by far for the ability to end in a whole bunch of stuff. But most importantly, the S. He's going to use that up now. Makes a lot of sense. And that gives Dustin he can breathe a huge sigh of relief. And nice little cushion going into the back half of this game, up again by 90 points. Wow, this has been insane.
We do still have an unseen blank. Nigel's about to score 36 points. He's already spotted LORY through the R in Fibered, making Nixie. VERN is a nice leave, especially with A's, E's, I's, O's, S's, and blanks still in that bag. And Dustin does not draw the blank. Nigel is not done in this one yet.
Wow, he draws the Q, which amazingly, with a rack of all these vowels, maybe the single best tile he could have drawn outside of maybe an S or a blank, and maybe even better than an S or a blank, in fact. I think the Q might have been the single best tile he could draw along with all those vowels, because he's going to have something nice up through this T that scores very well. It doesn't feel like Nigel is ever playing up at the top of the board. So a critical draw for Dustin in that Q. We don't find ourselves saying that too often, Matt.
Yeah, that Q saving the day here, but Nigel's actually blocked the threats up there, I guess, with Cots Unseen and other options with a bunch of vowels in the bag and few consonants. Wow.
Eyes in the back of his head. Amazing. That does feel like it's going to make Dustin's next play significantly less satisfying. That T was calling out to him for whatever QUATE would have been just what the doctor ordered. What exactly do you do now? Oh, there is one more nice play of quota, but this is still, there's no room for comfort with Nigel drawing that second blank. If there's a way to steal this game, you know Nigel's going to try to find it.
Absolutely. But if you're Dustin, Nigel Richards double blanks you on stream after winning 13 straight to start the tournament, and you still win. This would be an all-time career highlight if he's able to hang on.
That would be an ultimate flex for sure. I would say that now we're getting into that realm of the time is so tight that you could start to see Dustin make errors that he might not normally. Turns out he is up to, oh, wait a second. I thought he was going to play quota here. It looks like he's going to play coin instead, which does have some merit to block off that triple, but you are leaving 18 points on the table with that play. I think quota is called for here just for the extra points. You're going to withstand so many more plays from Nigel. But yeah, let's see what Dustin does with his clock ticking into the 2-minute zone with Nigel having 16 and a half minutes left.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is you just have to do something. I don't think coin is stronger than quota. I think even Aquay and ETA might be stronger as it just obstructs the most, but you have to do something. You can't lose 10 or 20 points in this game.
Yeah, 3 tiles would be in the bag after this play. So it creates an extremely interesting situation for Nigel, who will, as you point out, Matt, Nigel will have this spot to work with as a potential bingo lane. It won't be easy to play there, but with his EN combination, for example, he might have a shot at it. EL, couple other, endings of words. So if Nigel makes an opening play somehow on this part of the board, maybe I don't think just SIC is the way to do that, but something on the right side of the board, he might create a real tough situation for Dustin to navigate with very little time left on his clock.
Yeah, what is Nigel going to do? There will be 3 tiles in the bag. So, SIC is something, SIC and CRY would empty the bag, but it's possible that can do it. Maybe play resin, setting up resiny and potential 100-pointers over there.
That would be amazing. What an interesting play that would be. You do have to get some luck, of course. It would be great after a play like that for Nigel to draw the last E, which makes everything possible on the left side of the board, unless he's going to make his blank into a hook for those. And we can see that Dustin has it. So I do feel like Nigel is going to try to keep that E if at all possible. But if not for that, I love the idea of resin here. Looks like an extremely dangerous threat that could make Dustin's life difficult. Nigel just going to play SIC. Yep. Wow. Unreal. That's crazy. What is he going to draw? He draws an I. Does this give him anything? Certainly it gives him stuff like inertly and size. But does it give him something on the other side of the board is the real key, because Dustin is going to block this area if at all possible. And if he does, I think he's going to seal the win, Matt.
Yeah, Nigel does not have anything on the left side. Only bingos on the right side of this board, so any reasonable block, and Dustin should hang on to win this game. But if Dustin fails to block, relying is 95 points, making size.
That would do it for sure. Only a minute left, a major gut check situation here. All Dustin has to do is trust his gut. Nigel's just made a big setup play. Just hope for the best. You've got 2 parts of the board open. Oh, is this going to outrun? Is this going to outrun? Oh, my God. It scores 31. So it makes sense that he's going to go for the outrun, but he's going to empty the bag. If he hits his clock, he still has not. He just hit it.
Oh, my
Nigel
goodness.
is going to win his 14th game in a row. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. It totally makes sense with your clock ticking down that you might sort of misevaluate the situation and go for the points. But now Nigel is going to win this game rabbit out of a hat style. Absolutely shocking, Matt. I cannot believe it.
If Nigel's not the entire package, he doesn't win this game. But he had to play every turn correctly, and he had to do it as efficiently as he did. Dustin's going to win this game most of the time if he has even 45 more seconds on his clock. Nigel had to play well. He had to play fast. He had to force blunders out of his opponent. Jeez.
Is there any chance that just in that moment that Dustin spaced on Sice? That might be part of it, right? You might be thinking, oh, well, I can, I've got the last S. Nigel will have to make his blank an S if he wants to play here, and I'm going to outrun his bingos here, right? Like that would be the thinking. If there's just a momentary lapse in thinking about Sice, that would be how this happens. And I feel so horrible for Dustin, who played fantastically in this game. And Nigel, nevertheless, 95 points for relying. He's going to collect a boatload more points from Dustin's unplayed tiles. And the final score of this game will be Nigel Richards 487, Dustin Dean 476. Insane. I can't believe it, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, re-nails or any other bingo Nigel can have is still going to win. But you had to have one with the Y, and the Y had to slot on that double letter. And that's exactly what Nigel's drawn. Crazy.
Unreal.
The Roy Hibbert effect.
We got Roy Hibbert in the flesh over there. I can think of no better basketball player to compare Nigel Richards to than that. Just teasing, of course. And there's the handshake. I mean, Dustin's taking it seemingly decently well. I think he should hang his hat on this game as a very well played one by him. I feel like from start to finish until the very, very final act of this game, he made a lot of fantastic plays, but it just shows you the level you've got to be at to take down the GOAT, especially when he's drawing blank 1, X, blank 2, exactly as we laid out, Matt, as his potential pathway back.
Man. Dustin did so many things right. He just needed to do one more right and win this game, but he ran out of time. Nigel Richards is 14-0 at the World Cup. Nigel Richards is not rusty. Nigel Richards is not washed. Nigel Richards is as good as ever.
Couldn't agree more. And in customary fashion, no need to post-mortem. I don't know. Maybe we'll cut to overhead mic, see what they have to say. I guess not. I mean, the tile sounds, I don't think there's going to be much. Yeah.
The only thing to say after that one is, can you please put the score in for me after I swindled that game from you, adding insult to injury?
Very politely, as always, to a fault. Win or lose, Nigel is polite, but not a lot of losing going on so far at this year's World Cup. So Nigel finishes day 2 as he finished day 1 with an absolutely perfect record. He moves to 14-0. Players behind him in the standings include Saint Vesdepunt at 11-2 prior to round 14. So Saint may be the player with the best chances of catching Nigel heading into days 3 and beyond. Joey Krafchick also very much in the mix at 10.5. That means he tied a game, and 3.5. So Joey right in the mix too, but it is definitely going to take a heroic effort by probably a team effort, in fact, Matt, to bring Nigel down a bunch of times on days 3 and 4 to give us something interesting on the final day, Nigel, is definitely a runaway risk right now.
Runaway risk indeed, but there are still 2.5 more days of Scrabble to come in this tournament. And like we saw in that last game, anything can happen at a Scrabble tournament. Nigel is 14-0 right now, definitely a threat to run away, but we'll see. Repeat matchups coming soon. What are we seeing tomorrow, Will?
Well, we are sticking to the plan of showing the Collins division in the mornings and then cutting back to WoW in the afternoons. So as Nigel continues his warpath, perhaps that's going to chagrin more and more people that want to see more. But we have fantastic play coming from the Collins division as well. We love to split that between the divisions evenly. So brace yourselves for that now. But I suspect we will have a heavy dose of Nigel tomorrow afternoon as we continue to see who is going to run him down, who is going to make things interesting on the final day. So, yeah, I believe commentators tomorrow are going to be, I should confirm this, but I think it's going to be Toe Wabin in our Collins session and Jason Adalski in the afternoon session. So very excited for those. But a huge thank you to Sam Rosen this morning and to you, Matt, for hopping aboard with me this afternoon. It was a blast.
A blast indeed. We have several turns that I think could warrant a video, and I will stay tuned on your channel to figure out which ones you're going to show and win.
Yeah, I
Thanks
got a
for
lot of
having me,
work.
Will.
My pleasure. I got a lot of work to do, clearly, of both choosing topics and then getting to work with those editing chores, but it's going to be a blast to do. So with that, that's going to conclude day 2's coverage from Word Cup 2025 in St. Louis, Missouri, brought to you by Word Game Players Organization, wordgameplayers.org, and Collins Coalition, cocoscrabble.org. Two amazing organizations that if you're at all getting the itch to join our community, you can find a lot of information on either of those two, depending on where you're at, what lexicon you want to play. Huge kudos to both orgs and thanking both of them so much for all the work behind the scenes to make this tournament a reality. So with that, Matt and I are going to sign off for the day. Thank you so much to everybody for watching all throughout our 7 games today, and we will be back bright and early tomorrow for day 3 from the Word Cup.